From the Watergate building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now hear Hotline editors Amy Walter and John Mercurio.
Well, happy day after Iowa, everybody. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. All right, Amy Walter, let's cut right to it. What is the headline from yesterday's Iowa caucuses? Go.
Heart beats head. Period. This was an
What does
inspirational.
That mean?
Okay, here's
what's
what
the
it means.
Heart? What's the head?
I know we can have a whole esoteric
Break it
discussion
down,
about
break
that,
it
but
down.
here's what it means. Barack Obama and I know I'm not supposed to slap anymore. Barack Obama, Mike Huckabee.
Please don't slap.
Very different people,
Totally different people.
but very same message.
Yes.
They were candidates focused on hope, inspiration.
Absolutely.
They were nice.
One is
they
the
were
man from
forward-looking.
hope. One has written a book about the audacity of hope.
Oh.
You might say that hope will become a catchphrase, if not a key word, throughout the presidential
They
campaign.
were also apparently change was also a big deal.
Well, they were both the youngest candidates in their respective parties' fields. I think that's important because they do come into this race with relatively little experience. They were right. You're right. They were not the experienced candidates. My headline would be, "They took the leap." It was actually a first paragraph in a New York Times article, but in my little world of headline writing, I would
would be
make
yours.
that the headline. They took the leap. Bill Clinton challenged Democrats and to some extent Republicans to take the leap.
in '92.
Saying that they wouldn't. Well, no, he said that this year that he hoped that Democrats wouldn't, take the leap of faith, wouldn't
Roll the dice,
Exactly. That's
as
what I
it
would.
were.
In fact, I want to change my headline, which you can do as a headline writer.
Oh, apparently
it would
I
be
can.
they rolled
Just
the
delete
dice.
and then read.
They rolled the dice, and that's exactly what you saw. I think both parties do in Iowa.
And what's interesting, and I've always thought this is funny a little bit, about Mike Huckabee, and Barack Obama's the same way, both very comfortable in their own skin, and it shows. Now, Mike Huckabee,
As
I
are
think it's
you.
funny, because the guy who lost 120 pounds is the most comfortable in his own skin. But they had nothing to lose, and it showed.
Right.
And Hillary and Romney had everything to lose, and
Right.
it showed as well.
But we've seen that in '92. We saw the fact that Bill Clinton was, a talented politician, comfortable in his own skin. You saw in 2000 George Bush, comfortable in his own skin.
Right.
That's largely attributed to why he was able to beat Al Gore, not comfortable in his own skin. And as you mentioned, that's sort of what happened last night to some extent. Is that so important to voters in terms of
because-
picking the next president?
Well, because they want somebody, again, people don't vote on
Authenticity.
issues. It's authenticity, and it's a sense that I might not know where they're going to stand on all the issues. I just want to know what the make of what their medal is. Okay, we got to move on. So, this weekend, somebody's going to New Hampshire, and it's not just you.
It
a
is
lot
not
of candidates.
just me, a lot of
what,
candidates.
What should we be watching for this weekend?
Clearly, I think a lot of the action, at least initially, is going to be on the Republican side, primarily because for the first time in months, we're actually going to be watching a viable candidacy by John McCain, a surging candidacy, if you will. We're going to see two surging candidacies. I think Mike Huckabee is definitely going to get some momentum out of Iowa. New Hampshire, not quite as hospitable to him as Iowa, but still, I think he's going to see a bump in the polling. A lot of people giving him a second look, but John McCain, clearly New Hampshire Republicans and some independents falling in love again with John McCain. Mitt Romney, the neighboring governor of Massachusetts, at this point, I think a really difficult spot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for them. On the Democratic side, it'll be interesting for me, frankly, to watch and to see exactly what John Edwards is able to make out of his second place finish. In 2004, second place was the greatest thing in the world for him. He took
Not
it.
so much now.
He took it and he rode it through New Hampshire and through South Carolina. And obviously, became the vice presidential nominee this year. It seems like Iowa was really a make or break state for him. He didn't make it. Will he break? That's what I want to know.
Oh, that could be your headline. Make or break.
It's a good one.
Mine would be state of independence, and we've talked so much about the independent.
good.
Yeah, something called the Hotline. You might have heard of it.
I have.
Everybody's talking about what do they do now. Big group of voters in New Hampshire. Obviously, they were key to McCain's victory last time. Do they see Barack Obama as much more palatable? Obviously, the turnout in Iowa suggested that Democrats much more energized. Now, the number of independents that came to the Democratic caucus, only about 20%. So there didn't look like to be a surge of independents that went over to Democrats. But of the people who said they were independents, Barack Obama just absolutely dominated on the Democratic side. I would assume in New Hampshire, a state where Democrats did very well in 2006, just as they did in Iowa in 2006. Independents are going to be disproportionately breaking for Obama. I think that could be a much bigger problem for McCain had Romney not stunk up so badly in Iowa.
Right.
Now I think McCain, even without getting a surge of independents, still could pull this thing out.
Interesting.
How about that? All right. Well, that'll do it for today. We'll be watching New Hampshire all weekend to keep you up to date.
And I'll be there.
And you won't even have to wear a hat.
I know. I'll be very excited. It's supposed to be about 50 degrees, which is the best news I've heard all day.
All right.
But we'll see you next time on Hotline TV.